Hello IP4, welcome to our fourth video lesson. So last week we talked a little bit about commas, and today we're going to move on to some other parts of the topic and talk about abbreviations. Before we do that though, we're going to check the homework for the last lesson. So if you don't already have your workbook, go and get your workbook and turn to the homework that you did for the second lesson that we did on Friday. Let's look in our workbooks to page 86 and see where we need to add these commas. So number one, it should be Chen, comma, what do you know about scientists of long ago? Number two, well, comma, some early Greeks were good scientists. Number three, did the Greeks also invent the compass, comma, Julia? We use a comma to separate Julia from the rest of the sentence. And number four, no, comma, a Chinese scientist invented that. So give yourselves a score out of 4, and hopefully you've all got 4 out of 4 there. Okay, section B. There are 6 missing commas that we needed to find. So, can you tell me, comma, Julia, comma, who invented a way to lift water? We need 2 commas to separate the name Julia from the rest of the sentence. It was another Greek scientist, comma, Mr. Lopez. Yes, and why was that a helpful invention, comma, Julia? Well, it helped farmers water their crops. Julia, comma, wasn't it a Chinese scientist who discovered laws about levers and pulleys? And then, no, comma, actually it was the same Greek scientist. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commas. So give yourselves a score out of 6 and give yourselves a total out of 10. To pass the page, you would need 7 out of 10. So I hope you've all got at least 7, and really I want you all to be getting 9 or 10 out of 10 because that was quite easy. Okay, now we're going to move on to today's lesson. And this lesson 4 is about abbreviations. Now, I think you've heard that word abbreviations before, so I hope you all remember what those are. If not, we're going to move on and you will find out. An abbreviation is a shortened form of a whole word. So it's a way to make a word shorter. Most abbreviations, but not all, start with a capital letter and end with a period. And we use abbreviations with people's titles, with words that we use in an address, and for months of the year and days of the week. On this slide, we can see abbreviations for people's titles, so words that go as part of somebody's name. Now, I think you've all seen this abbreviation before, very common. Mr. MR periods. It means the word Mr, which we can use for any boy or man. This abbreviation, Mrs. MRS periods, is used for a woman who is married. And we use the abbreviation Miss for a woman who is not married. Now you'll notice the abbreviation Miss does not have a period. We can use the abbreviation Ms, MS period, for any woman, whether they are married or not married. The abbreviation DR period means doctor. So if you're a doctor, you'd use this word, this abbreviation, before your name. And these two, junior and senior. You use the word junior if you have the same name as your mum or your dad. My name is Joseph Armstrong. If my dad's name was also Joseph Armstrong, I would be Joseph Armstrong Jr. and he would be Joseph Armstrong Sr. So the abbreviation of junior is JR period. The abbreviation of senior is SR period. So an example is Mr. Gary Smith Senior. MR period means Mr. SR period means senior. Okay, when we are writing an address, so where a place is, we often use abbreviations to make it shorter. So for road, we can use RD period. For the word avenue, AVE period. For the word street, ST period. For the word drive, DR period, which looks the same as doctor, but if you're writing an address and you see DR, people will understand that you're referring to a drive. The word boulevard, BLVD period. The word company, like if you are writing a letter to a business, you would use CO period. If you're writing to a post office, you would use PO, P period, O period. Sometimes if you write to a business, they don't have their address, they have what's called a PO box. So it's an address at a post office where you can write a letter to. If you have an apartment, APT period, and if there's more than one building, BLDG period. So an example, our school is on Vipavadi Rangsit Road, but when you write the address, you could just write Vipavadi Rangsit and then RD period. Okay, we can also abbreviate months of the year. Now I'm not going to go through each of these individually because you can see that most of the time we use the first 3 letters of the month with a period to make an abbreviation. So you can see Jan, Feb, Mar, the first 3 letters and then a period. Now there's a couple of ones that I want to point out to you. May does not need an abbreviation because it is already only 3 letters. So when you write May, you don't need a period. Now June and July are also quite short. We often don't abbreviate the words June or July because they are only 4 letters, but you can abbreviate them if you want to with the first 3 letters and a period. Also, September, in your textbook it says SEPT period, and that is correct, but I think also you can use the first 3 letters, just SEP period. Today's date is the 19th of January, so you would write 19 Jan period. Again, days of the week, you would also use the first 3 letters of the day with a period. So Mun, Tu, Wed, Thur, Fry, Sat, Sun. Also in your textbook, Thurs, THURS, period, is given as an abbreviation of Thursday. That is acceptable, but I think it's better to just use the first 3 letters. I think this is so you don't get confused with Tuesday, but you shouldn't really get confused with Tuesday anyway. Please open your textbook to page 174. Now, in your textbook, it goes through all of the stuff that I've just talked about addresses, about titles, about days, and about months. It also mentions about using abbreviations for state names. Now, this refers to states, which are places in America, the United States of America. Now, I do not need you to learn the state abbreviations. We do not live in America, so there's no real need for you to know that. So, when you get your textbook and look at questions 1 to 6, I want you to cross out number 2, because the abbreviation it's asking for is for the state Utah, which you can see you would abbreviate as UT, but I don't need you to remember that. So when you do questions 1 to 6, you could ignore number 2. So look at number 1. We've got the Marina Boat Company. The word company has been underlined, and you need to give the abbreviation for that word. And you need to give abbreviations for numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the underlined word. So if you understand what to do, you can pause the video, answer those questions, and press play when you have finished. If you don't have your textbook, pause the video and write on a piece of paper. So please pause now. Okay, have you finished? If you finished questions 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, keep watching. Okay, so Marina Boat Company, we abbreviate company, CO periods. Number 3, AV Pike Junior, we abbreviate junior, JR periods. Tuesday, April 5th, we abbreviate Tuesday, TUE periods. Dr. Ramon, we use DR periods for doctor, and Grant Road, we use RD periods for road. So give yourselves a score of 5, and I hope you all got 5 out of 5 there. Let's look at questions 7 to 16 now on the next page, page 175. On page 175, there's no mention of states. So what you need to do, you need to write any word that needs to be abbreviated. So there's not much space, but anything that needs to be abbreviated, you can change. Now in the example, it's got Wednesday, November 4th. That means you need to change the day Wednesday and the month November. So be careful. Make sure that you find all the abbreviations. So if you're ready, you can pause the video and press play when you are ready. Okay, have you finished those questions? If you're finished, you can keep watching. Okay, so number 7, Dr. Anne Chang. We changed the word doctor to DR periods. Number 8, Mr. John Cliff Sr. There's actually 2 things we need to change there. We change Mr. to MR periods and Senior to SR periods. Number 9, Mei Lee is a married woman, so we need Mrs. MRS periods. Number 10, Cooper Copper Company. We change company to CO periods. Number 11, Joseph L. Lewis Jr. Change junior to JR periods. Number 12, 19 Seneca Street. Change street to ST periods. 13, Tuesday, October 28th. You need to change Tuesday to TUE periods and October to OCT periods. 14, Post Office Box 6, change Post Office to P period O periods. Number 15, El Monte Avenue, change Avenue to AVE periods. And number 16, January 1st, 1999, you need to change January to JAN periods. Okay, so give yourselves a score out of 10. Okay, that is the end of this lesson. Your homework for this lesson is workbook page 80. So today is Tuesday, and I want you to make sure you finish workbook page 80 before you do the lesson on Friday. Section A, you need to write these phrases again with the correct abbreviation. Number 4, we've got the state, Maine. You do not need to abbreviate the state, Maine. Section B, you have 3 addresses, and in each address there's a few things you need to change. What you need to change has been underlined, but again, I don't need you to abbreviate the states, New Jersey, New York, or Pennsylvania. Okay, IP4, that is the end of this lesson. So make sure you do workbook page 80 before Friday. And until then, thank you, IP4. Bye-bye.